Welcome! And today we'll dive into the stories and reactions to the post from Ida Crybaby titled, Mom berates daughter for having a miscarriage, gets put in her place. Hi, this is Derek. I just put the Drama Llama, Fred, back in his pen so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. Oh boy, let's get ready for some stories. Ida Crybaby posted, Mom berates daughter for having a miscarriage, gets put in her place. This isn't my story, but that of my girlfriend Katie. I was at her dad's house during fall break, and Katie, her family, and I were all thinking about if we ever met or knew someone who fit the Karen meme. Then, Katie started talking about her maternal grandma, or GM for short. According to Katie, grandma was a devout Christian and believed it would please God if moms had lots of children. In reality, they thought it had more to do with grandma having empty nest syndrome and wanting another baby to care for because she's too old to have any more kids. Then, one day, one of Katie's aunts suffered from a miscarriage. Nobody knew for sure what caused it, but some speculated that it was related to the aunt's past history of smoking. She didn't smoke while pregnant, she actually quit smoking and waited until she was completely sober from nicotine to try for a baby. Still, everyone assured the poor aunt that it wasn't her fault and that these things just happen sometimes. Everyone was supportive of her, except grandma. Not long after the miscarriage, Katie's aunt got a call from grandma that went something like this. You murdered my grandbaby. I told you never to touch those cancer sticks. There's a special place in hell for mothers who poison their children like that. While this call was going on, Andy had grandma on speaker, and little did either of them realize the aunt's husband, Katie's uncle, was overhearing the conversation. To say he was pissed off is a gross understatement. The uncle grabbed the phone and yelled something to this effect to grandma. You know about poisoning children, grandma. You're poisoning your daughter with your bull poop. Your attitude is more poisonous than anything my wife's ever smoked in her life. Grandma was banned from attending the memorial, and now, they don't speak to her much. Auntie and uncle decided to be child-free after that, but, according to Katie and her dad, they love their nieces and nephews as if they were their own kids. I hope to meet them someday. Too lazy didn't read. My girlfriend's aunt had a miscarriage. Her mother, girlfriend's grandma, equates it with murder. Uncle chews her out. Angel Mommy 1125 reacted with, as a mom who miscarried one of my twins and also had my 7.5-week-old son pass away. Hooked up to life support after being born a very healthy baby. This absolutely disgusts me. I seriously do not understand the evil and wicked ways people talk to each other. Especially their own family. That grandma needs someone to put her butt away, shut her up and never let her around any kids ever again. Good for the uncle to tell her off and put her in her place. Ida Crybaby responded with, I know, right? Speaking as a child whose mother also had a psychotic break, postpartum psychosis. I think there's something about being a mom that makes you desperate to keep your children as long as possible. Even to their own detriment. It sounded like my girlfriend's grandma wanted to relive the joy of having another baby. Similar to how my dad wanted me to fulfill his sports fantasies when I played football. I'm so sorry for your loss. Angel Mommy 1125 followed up with, absolutely understand wanting to keep your children as long as possible. I do have 3 amazing daughters, all preteen and teenage. And there are times it makes me so sad to think of how much they have grown. And how soon they won't need me hardly at all. But my job as a mom is to raise them as good, loving, caring, and contributing members of society when they get older. I don't want them to grow up on me, except for when they are talking back and giving attitude, but I can't imagine ever saying those awful things the grandma said to the aunt. I couldn't do that to a stranger, let alone family, no matter how badly I would want children around. I understand feeling heartbroken about it, but that's beyond what that emotion is. I sure hope that your girlfriend's aunt can move past that lady. And I hope that they one day will get the family they desire. It's truly a blessing. And thank you. I definitely don't say it for sympathy. Just for the understanding that I have when others lose their children. Whether they were born yet or not, that's the worst thing any parent could ever go through. Rewarding Cheese reacted with, time to stick up for your aunt and tear her a new one. Ida crybaby followed up with, "Lol, she wasn't my aunt, she was my girlfriend's." I think I would have liked to see how the uncle called her out on her BS. Math was 617 reacted with, "Good job, uncle. A miscarriage is one of the worst things that can happen to an expected mom. Grandma being toxic only makes things worse." Batua 78 followed up with, "Yup. Most pregnancies never even stick. Egg gets fertilized but still ends up being ejected. The ones that do stick often end in miscarriage due to chromosomal issues. Totally natural way of making sure we don't end up with babies that die shortly after birth." Jinx Wolf reacted with, "I'm pregnant myself and the thought of a miscarriage scares me. I'm not in the best health and the baby is causing some harm, but I'm trying to push through. Every time I even think of losing the baby, I freak out. To have someone yell at you for losing a baby when you had no control over it is heartbreaking." Ida crybaby followed up with, "My girlfriend's aunt probably blamed herself for a long time. Whether it was her history of smoking or something else. My girlfriend says she seems pretty happy now. I'd like to meet her someday." Jinx Wolf responded with, "As someone whose aunt did drugs while pregnant, I can say that it wasn't her smoking in the past that did it. My cousin was born with a hole in her heart and a crap ton of mental problems. Mom smoked before she had me and I was fine. I highly doubt it was your aunt's fault." Odinson chimed in with, "My mom gave up smoking as soon as she found out she was pregnant with me and I'm fine. I believe miscarriages just happen sometimes, unfortunately. And I highly doubt smoking had anything to do with it. Especially since I know someone who's had 5 and they were perfectly healthy. Your girlfriend's uncle and aunt sound amazing." Skeen 441 reacted with, "I hope grandma isn't invited to any family gatherings anymore." Nick is 84 followed up with, "OMG. Your aunt was already grieving. And to have that toxic mess come out of her own mother's mouth, must have been devastating. Good for your uncle putting grandma in her place. I would have gone not cool too." Lilith Firehawk 2930 chimed in with, "I know that cigarettes will cause birth defects, but a miscarriage, that's new. Grandma is effing disgusting for saying that poop. Good on the uncle for putting the heifer in her place." Squished P reacted with, "Could always adopt, win-win. A kid gets a home and they get a child." Ida crybaby followed up with, "Maybe having another kid will remind them too much of the one they lost. Same reason why some people don't want to get another dog after theirs passed away." VS Chu reacted with, "As a Christian myself, I hate hearing when stuff like this happens. My sister had 2 miscarriages and my family only shows the utmost love and respect towards her. And how she's feeling because it was hard. It's beyond me why people can't simply have compassion for others, let alone family." K1410407 followed up with, "Nobody. Literally nobody. Mother, has miscarriage? Grandmother, oh you murderer. You deliberately had a poorly developed baby. How dare you? Goodness, does this grandmother need to have a late miscarried baby? And someone to berate her just to see how illogical and stupid that sounds." Rogue Ryan 26 followed up with, "There's a special place in hell for FWADs who equate a miscarriage with murdering a child. Let alone those who accuse their own children of such a thing. I have no kids of my own. But I did sit with my cousin as we were trying to call her husband from the emergency room. As she was losing their twins. He left work and made an hour drive in under 30 minutes. Arriving just as the doctor confirmed both babies had been lost. I've never seen someone so heartbroken in all my life. Your girlfriend's grandmother can F right off with her BS." JGB75 chimed in with, "This reminds me of a story I read in one of those doctor's office women's magazines a few years ago. A woman was detailing how she and her husband had finally had the baby. They had been trying for so long. But, the baby was born with undescribed deformities. Her mother-in-law came to see her while she was in the hospital. When she saw the baby, she took a long look at it. Then turned to her mother, with horror mixed with scorn on her face, and told her, "You must have done something really evil for God to punish you like this." The writer said the mother-in-law never once called to ask about the child after that. And she would occasionally call to talk to her son, who of course couldn't possibly be accused of being evil. But never again spoke a word to the mother or the child. Crispy Oats Zero chimed in with, "What is TL? DR mean?" Bamp 1701 replied with, "Too long, didn't read." Hello the Loser chimed in with, but his comment was only 4 sentences. You know, Hello the Loser does have a point. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great set of reactions from a bunch of upstanding citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. He must have found more stories for me to share with you. See you soon.